Good evening, everyone. I'd like to convene this meeting of Town Board of the Town of Clemens for January 23rd, 2025. If you'll join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To note that all the members are present tonight. And we have 3 announcements. The community forum on volunteerism at the RCS High School will be at the Media Center at the high school January 27th. That's Monday, 6:30 to 7:45, and registration is required. You can find it on the RCS website or the Town of Clemens website, that registration form. RCS CBA Business Breakfast at Abounding Love Faith Plaza is the 30th of this month from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. And there's also an ice cream breakfast at the RCS Community Library February 1st from 10:30 to 11:30. Ages 0 to 8 with caregivers. Registration is required for that also.
Supervisor, could you just provide a little bit of information with regards to this community forum on volunteerism? I did register as a town employee. I saw that there's going to be a panel. Are we, as the town board, required to do anything special?
I don't think so. Brian sent an email today that it's kind of funny because he said, hey, we're ready for this. And I said, yeah, I'm excited to see what the community has to say. And he goes, great, you'll be emceeing it. So be prepared. I'll send you a list of questions. And it's a handful of students, I'm quoting his email, a handful of students, parents, and any members of the community that want to come, whether they're in an association or single. Anyone who's interested in discussing how to create volunteers in different aspects of the town, whatever it may be.
So while it's a school/town venture, I, as a council, am not under any obligation to, like.
I would imagine unless you wanted to.
Okay. All right. Do you know what the panel is going to consist of?
No, there are some ideas flowing. I mean, I have a list of ideas that I have written down. I think it's just the first step into bringing volunteerism to the forefront of people's minds and seeing that there's some support out there and what kind of ideas people have.
Okay. So it's really just a venture between the school and the supervisor?
No, it's between the school and the community.
Yeah,
and the town and village are invited.
Just
as representatives. Also, other organizations have been invited to take it, and other people that are volunteers are invited.
Okay. All right, just so I have an idea of what to expect.
It's no obligation.
yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not quite sure what to expect when I get there. I hope it's successful and just raising awareness of volunteering.
Okay, thank you.
If all the members have received the minutes for January 9th and had time to review them, I'd like to make a motion to approve them.
I'll second that. Sorry, I'm used to sitting there, Ron.
Oh, yeah. All in favor of accepting the minutes for January 9th?
Aye.
Aye.
I did not.
The other side, the musical chairs.
All right, let's just go into the reports then. This is the supervisor's report for December 20 of the year 2024. General fund balance forward $304,441.28. Receipts of $337,770.61. Disbursements of $472,052.30 for a balance of $170,159.59. Night class earned interest at $7,824.47. Consolidated fund, $647.49 balance forward, with receipts of $201,805.55, disbursements of $201,805.52, with a balance of $647.52. Part-town fund, balance forward is $13,322.88, with receipts of $54,500.76, disbursements of $53,742.72, a balance of $14,080.92, and earned interest of $6,464.74. Highway part-town balance forward is $91,340.32. Receipts of $301,817.15. Disbursements of $160,929.26. Balance of $232,228.21. Earned interest of $1,421.91. Highway town-wide balance forwards $4,774.74. Receipts of $1,709.66. Disbursements of $8,724.69. A balance of negative $2,240.29. Earned interest of $189.06. Sewer balance forward $87,998.15. Receipts of $3,649.73. Disbursements $80,382.82. Balance of $11,265.06, and earned interest of $1,134.40. Trust and agency balance forward $18,889.08. Receipts of $474,427.54. Disbursements of $388,777.65, and balance of $104,538.97. Lease forfeitures are at zero. Capital projects balance forward is $12,010.60. Receipts of $50,000.27. Disbursements of $57,650.11. Balance of $4,360.76, with earned interest of $231.87. Section 8 HUD balance forward $8,332.64, with receipts of $64,284.53. Disbursements of $71,847.06, a balance of $770.11. Total reconciled balance $535,810.85. Queeman's Hollow Cemetery is at $546.80. Grove Cemetery is at $928.59. Alcove Cemetery $320.97. A total of $1,796.36. Bank of Greene County and National Bank of Coxsackie have FDIC coverage of $250,000 each, and are collateralized for $677,427.69. It's probably not on your sheet because M&T Bank didn't send out the statement this morning, and I had Regina keep trying until she got them, and that was right before we left for the day. So again, that's
What was that number?
$677,427.69. Okay. This is from the beginning of the night class investment from September to the end of the year. General interest interest on the general fund was $42,239.81. Part-town was $26,303.97. Part-town highway is $4,947.52. Town-wide highway, $678.10. Sewer, $4,068.60. Capital projects H, $1,211.24. Grove Cemetery, $398.37. Queens Hollow Cemetery, $39.86. Alcove Cemetery at $185.90, for a total year-to-date interest of $80,073.37. And for December, the withdrawal of general fund was $300,000. One on December 16th for $100,000, and one on the 28th for $200,000. Those were for bills and payroll. Part-town, $50,000 on the 5th of December. It was for retirement bill. Capital H projects, $50,000. That was the last payment to the bathroom, the flat bathroom project on the river front. And for a total of $500,000 withdrawals and no deposits. I'll make a motion to accept the supervisor's report.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Couple of things. So highway townwide, the balance is negative $2,240.29. Can you provide an explanation as to that?
Yeah, that was due to the holiday lag. Those checks were printed at the December end abstract and released and posted, released and the deposit posted on the 2nd after Martin Luther King's holiday.
So what happens to that account if it's overdrawn?
Oh, it's not overdrawn. It's up. This is just the December report.
Oh,
There's money in it now.
so it was overdrawn at some point in time, though, if we were negative, right?
Yeah, until the checks cleared on the 2nd. There's just a lag when the report was filed.
Was there a penalty for that? Like,
No.
No overdrawn fee or anything. And then, so we have all this money invested into NICLAS, but yet we were $350,000 short for bills/payroll.
No, it's not a shortage of money. It's just we needed the money in the account, in the fund to pay payroll.
Right.
So that's the moving of the money that is invested in NICLAS. When we need it, we pull it and move it back into the fund when we need it.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that, we have all this money invested, but yet, as of December, we didn't have enough money in our accounts to cover bills/payroll. And we weren't just short, $1,000. You had to pull back $350,000 to pay bills/payroll and for a retirement bill.
Yeah, because they were due, so we had to pull the money there so we could pay those bills.
I'm not comfortable with that. And I also thought that we talked about any deposits/withdrawals would go through board resolution.
Well, we haven't passed the policy yet, the investment policy, and that's on the agenda tonight. If everybody's reviewed it, had a chance to look at it from the 9th of January.
The policy calls for essentially contemporaneous notice to the board if any transactions are taking place. So if there was going
So it
to
wouldn't be approval, it would just be notice?
I mean, that's how it's set up, only because, the idea of both NICLAS and the New York Liquid Asset Fund is essentially they're liquid investments. And so you comply with the limitations under the general municipal law. But if you initiate a transfer back prior to noon, you're guaranteed to get it that day. If you initiate it after noon, then you get it the following morning. So that allows you to keep the investments earning interest as long as you can, but then know that you can secure the money and have it transferred back into an operating account when you actually need to cut checks. So, I mean, we could insist that there be, or modify that so that there's formal board approval each time there's one of those transactions, but it would, it would limit the ability to earn interest on some of those funds because you'd have to transfer them out up to 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but when you see something like this, when we're short $350,000 for the month to pay while we have money invested, and that's grand based upon the numbers that we're seeing in year-to-date interest, I mean, how does the board feel about that?
Is this affecting the way we're doing our prepaids too? Because a lot of prepaids are showing up late. When we're signing the vouchers, we're seeing the prepaids late.
No, we
Yeah.
discussed that, the prepaids.
Well, we just signed a couple of vouchers recently that, they got the bill in like November, but they didn't pay the bill till like the end of December. Which should have been paid at the beginning of November. It's a prepaid. You pay
Which
it.
prepaid are you talking about?
So specifically, we're talking about the National Grid bill for the dog kennel. And when we looked at the voucher and the bill, there was a balance forward of $24.47. Regina has it marked as paid on 12/6, but if you notice, the billing period is from November 5th to December 6th. And the pay date is January 1st for this new bill, which includes a $24.47. Basically, as of this, when this bill was printed, no payment had been received during the billing period prior. So that bill was paid late.
Typically,
National Grid didn't get that check until it was late. And it was so far late that they initiated or they created the next billing cycle and just tacked on the $24.47.
and typically those bills with utilities have that 1.5% late fee attached to that. We're paying late fees.
So is
we're
that on the
wasting
National Grid
tax
has
dollars on late
that?
fees every month because the bills and the prepaids aren't getting sent out when they're coming in.
I don't think National Grid sent out a late fee.
I don't think there's a late fee attached to it.
That's my concern.
But what we did notice specifically on this bill is that it would have been paid late.
It would have been, but it wasn't.
No, it was paid late.
Well,
So
if you need further clarification on that, we can look into that for old business at the next meeting.
no, but I think to Mr. Hoteling's point, while we have all of this money invested, there are bills being paid late. And at one point in time, there was a negative in the highway townwide balance line. And now all of a sudden we have to pull back $350,000 real quick so that we can pay bills. Just, again, I was never really in favor of NICLAS, and I see and I understand the numbers, but if we're going to continue with the NICLAS, I would hope that our bills are paid on time and we have sufficient funds in our accounts, and then we do some investing.
Right. We haven't had any vendors complaining and no late fees for the last year. And I think that the ones that were brought to our attention were before September, so before we even started to invest in a liquid asset fund. I don't think it correlates to prepays, the investment in NICLAS. I think it just earned the interest of 4.2 where it's at right now.
No.
And when we need money to make payroll, we just move it, and it takes a couple of days, and the funds are there.
I know that you didn't like the idea of NICLAS.
No, that's okay,
I know.
but how do you feel about seeing these numbers and seeing a negative and seeing that we didn't have enough money to pay? I mean, are you comfortable with that?
But we do have enough money. It needs to be moved, and it has to show up there. You can't say it's a negative if it's not a negative, but we do have the money there to pay it.
I mean, I guess,
We have to define it when we're going through that process.
sure, and you just gotta make sure you pull it out in ample time. You gotta make sure you don't, short yourself where it's like, oh, we gotta pull out the money and it takes X number of days for a clear to check, and you just gotta make sure you pull out the money, the necessary money at ample time so that you have the money to pay the bill.
Right.
I mean, but you're right, we
Which
have
we
the
do.
money. It's like any other, I would assume any other business, municipality has money in their accounts and they pull it out when they need it, and that's what we're doing just from an investment point of view.
You could have money in your checking, in your savings account where you would earn modest interest and transfer it to your checking when you need to make a payment. This functions essentially in the same manner. There's maybe a little bit more, maybe it's a 6-hour lag instead of
More lag
instantaneous
time,
with a
right.
transfer within your own bank accounts. But I mean, that's how it's functioned. That's how it functions. That's how it's intended to function. If the board decides that they no longer want to permit NICLAS, it's allowed under the current investment policy. It was never implemented in the past, but it's expressly allowed as a permitted investment vehicle for the supervisor. So we would need to modify the investment policy further if that's something you want to move away from.
No, I mean, it sounds like the board as a whole, is okay with it. I just, those are my comments.
No further discussion I'd like to make. Oh,
We do. Yep.
all in favor of accepting the supervisor's report?
Aye.
Who seconded that motion?
Mike?
I did.
And Candace, could you take us through the clerk report, please?
Town clerk's report for December of 2024 and the A fund, which consists of New York State DEC, royalties, marriage licenses, NBA reports, and dog licensing and minor sales of Easy Pass was a total of $374.78. In the B fund, which is death certificates, building fees, rental permits, and title searches, was a total of $1,425. In the sewer fund, we received 2 payments from the village equaling $84,953.78 plus the interest for the total SS fund of $84,954.10. I believe we currently have 11 payments out of the 12 for the 2024 year for the village. There's still one outstanding. So the total local shares remitted is $86,753.88. New York State Agriculture and Markets received $25. New York State Department of Health received $67.50. New York State Environmental Conservation received $123.99 for a total non-local revenues of $216.49. Your total state, county, and local revenues for December of 2024 were $86,770.37.
I'll make a motion to accept the December 2024 town clerk's report as submitted.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chief, would you like to read the police department report, please?
I shall, thank you very much. For the Town of Queens Police Department for December 2024. The police department had 692 calls for service, effected 6 criminal arrests, conducted 200 traffic stops, and issued 76 traffic tickets. No DWIs in the month. There was 1 personal injury auto accident and 17 property damage accidents that were investigated. I wanted to offer to the board the annual stats for the department. 2024, since it is January, the right time to do this, there were a total of 12,380 calls for service. There were 1,921 traffic stops effected, and we issued 1,160 traffic tickets in the town. We also effected 12 DWI arrests for the year, and also conducted or performed 117 criminal arrests in the town. That comes out, those numbers roughly equate to 34 calls for service per day and over 3 tickets a day issued on average. I want to do a shout out to the highway department for helping us out this past month for a vehicle that had given us some more problems, but they were able to effect the repair and saved us an awful lot of money. So thank you very much, because right now in conditions, the car would have taken 3 weeks to sit up in the dealer before they even diagnosed it. So we had the car on the road in about one afternoon. So thanks again, Dan, to the team down
Wow.
there. Thank you.
You're the man.
And saved us thousands, I'm sure. We once again led the parade, the annual Christmas Day parade, despite the cold weather, is very well attended. And that's my report.
Thank you.
How are the numbers trend from like the year prior? I mean, is it more calls for service this year?
So
or-
interestingly, I can tell you that from calls for service, we had a 15,485 in 2023, down to 12,380. But there's a change in the computer-aided dispatch system to the sheriff's department.
They generate their tickets, yeah.
We're working, there's a couple of glitches in there that I think are resulting in not accounting for all of the activity for a variety of reasons, no one's fault, it's just we're trying to work out those kinks, but I think that accounts for the drop. For that matter, traffic stops are actually a little lower, but tickets were significantly increased. It was almost 100% increase in the amount of tickets we issue, even though the amount of traffic stops that were down 15% from last year. So I think that's a reflection in the quality that the tickets and stops we're making, and the fact that, we're still doing traffic enforcement. Because anybody who drives knows that traffic enforcement is needed, in my opinion. So, thanks.
Make a motion to accept the police report for January.
I'll second that.
December. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Billing. How you doing, Jason?
Good evening, everyone. I have two reports for you. I have November of 2024 report. Permits issued were 11. Certificates of occupancy or compliance were 13. I had one stop work order, one fire incident notification from Wilmington County. Fire inspections commercially were 7. Building complaints were 12. Building inspections were 50. I had 3 permit renewals. Fees for November were $3,252.50. Had 1 area variance, 1 property search, and miscellaneous fees were $100. December's report, permits issued were 6. Year-to-date were 127. Certificates of occupancy or compliance were 7. Year-to-date were 127. Operating permits issued were 1. One stop work order in December. Fire incident notification was 1. Fire inspection commercially were 12. Fire inspection on a vacant building were 2. Total fire inspections for the year were 122. Building complaints were 4. Building inspections were 40. Year-to-date was 561. Total with fire and building inspections is 683. Permits renewed were 1. Building fees for December were $1,225. 1 property search and miscellaneous fees were $100.
I'd like to make a motion to accept December and November's report for 2024. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Keith, good evening.
Good evening, George. For December of '24, we did 19,600,000 gallons flow, and we averaged 632,000 per day. We removed almost 63 tons of solids at 13%. Our BOD removal was 96. Our TSS was 94. So we had almost 3 inches of rain in the month of December, and then. We just spent a lot of money that month. We did over $30,000 down at the plant. So that's basically that. The leachate is closed. And, we're just running heat out there, so I go out there and heat and just check to make sure, especially with cold weather. And, just so you know that because of the cold weather the other day, Division Street pump station stopped working. The mechanism inside that is a transducer. It was so cold that it, with the heat that they have inside the box, they have it up in the left-hand corner. That's the way it was designed, but that unit's down on the bottom, so heat rises, so it didn't work, so it was frozen and it wasn't working. But by morning, like around 10, 11 o'clock, the sun was out long enough and I had the door open and it started operating by itself. But in the meantime, I was just there turning it on and off. And everything, so it heated up and came back, just so that you knew that. It just happened the other day.
How do we prevent that from happening again?
I'm gonna buy a little heat strip, like a heating tape, and put inside the box next to it. But this is what that grant money we're looking for, trying to do the lift stations. But both lift stations are in pretty rough shape. We only have one pump working in both of them. So, but now that everything being with the change of government, who knows what that infrastructure money will still be. But it's something that we need to address. We're having a lot of breakdowns, and with one pump running, if the other one goes, we're out of luck. There's no way to get it there. We do have a transfer pump, so we could do Division Street. But Riverview, we could do it, we could pump it, but you gotta pump it all the way up to Church Street before gravity feeds down to the plant. So, just so that you know that stuff, But that was that, but I want to give you a summary for the year, what we did at the plant. So Albany, we took 447 tons of solids to landfill for 24 at 16%. Our total flow there was 288,517,000 for total flow for the whole year, and our monthly flow was 17,376,000, and our average flow was 564. And BOD and TS removal was 91 and 95, and we had 38 inches of rain for the whole year, and it averaged about 3 inches of rain a month.
Did Emens ever get back to you what did they say about their quote that they did a couple months back?
I have not heard back from Trent, because he left that company, so the new guy came in, so he was looking into it.
Was Trent the guy that was there when I met Nick?
No.
Okay.
No. That was Logan and another guy, I can't think of his name, that were there that day.
So I see that there's a $1,324 expense for Emens for the month of December. What was that for?
That was when they came and worked at Riverview. That's where we pulled the pump to make sure, and then found out that the impeller was bad and everything, and it wasn't pumping. And then we checked in to see if we could get parts for those so that we could get them up and running. But because they're 24 years old, they discontinue making any parts for them, so you can't get them up.
So that was the pump that's already down?
Yeah. And then they're the same at the other place too. Everything's identical.
Okay.
Like I said, we have pumps out at each one of them. And
How much is one of those pumps to replace?
I didn't get a price yet.
Oh, okay.
Because they were talking to replace everything was like 80 grand
Yeah, right.
to do the whole lift station.
Okay.
But I in the quote that's in there, but I don't off the top of my head.
Okay. Okay.
But that's where we are there.
Okay. Make a motion to accept the sewer report for December 2024.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, you like to
Don't
read
do
it?
that.
What?
Don't turn it on.
Sorry. Does it work? Does that microphone work?
As we have discussed before, that microphone being on causes the disruption with these microphones. So it's really there for aesthetic purposes. Don't turn it on,
I
please.
just want to make sure that everybody in TV land is being able to hear.
They can hear better without that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Good evening, board, TV land, residents of the great town of Queens. This is a final report for 2024 for the month of December. We had 7 snow events for the month of December. We were out salting and plowing. So you guys are all aware, we had some pretty bad ice storm, but we managed to get through it. We brought the trucks back and put the chains on the rear tires and
If anybody was out, it was pretty nasty. Probably one of the worst ones I've ever seen. So kudos to crew, did a great job, so, keep working to get better at what we do. We had a little break in the action, so we were able to pick up a big brush pile down on Bennett Court. We also, during some of our road inspections, we noticed there's a 5-foot culvert pipe that's failing on Tracy Road by the Lukens farm. So we took the decision to pick up 3 lengths of 4-foot smoothbore culvert pipe. So this summer, we're gonna go from that and replace that. It makes it better. Okay. I'm sure you guys probably seen that. It's around $10,000 again for those 3 pieces of pipe. Okay. Moving on to the garage, we had some issues with one of our 450s with the wiring harness for the salter, so we repaired that. C16 had a broken front spring hanger, so that had to go to Watkins to be repaired. C4, the wiring harness issues. And again, I hate to say it over and over, but the winters are brutal on the equipment with the salt and the pounding, so there's just constant repairs to this stuff. C11, the wing plow cover plate, we replaced that, new shoes. We bring the Komatsu loader back from the salt plow. And then we wash that and we grease that. And then we fuel it up and then we fuel up the light plant that's at the salt pile. After every snow event, we do what we call a quick service on all the big trucks and the little trucks. So you see there 16, 11, 22, 5, C9, and 14. All the drivers go through their trucks, they grease them, they check all the pins, check all the plow feet, the cover plates, the carbides, the salter chain, so on and so forth, and make sure that they're ready to go for the next snow event. Moving on to this town hall, the generator outside, we take care of the fuel, so we fuel that up. Nothing going on with the other town halls. We did plow, I don't know if you guys noticed, we did plow we call it the doctor's office. Because if I say, hey, go to the new town hall, they go to the supervisor's office. So our code name is the doctor's office. So we did plow it. Danny did a nice job plowing it. So, and if you guys are gonna be there, if somebody's gonna be there working, just let me know. We'll make sure that, it's salted and it's plowed, okay? Moving on to parks. There was a big disc golf thing at Drollman. So they called and asked if I'd get a porta potty, which I did. I thought it was important. They said there was gonna be like 100 people there. And he said, you're gonna have a bunch of upset women if you don't have a place. So once I heard that, I'm like, I ain't having upset women. Everybody knows how that goes, so. We got the porta potty there. I'm gonna leave it there again for this month. There's a lot of activity there, so that's there. The Christmas tree for the gazebo every year is donated by Zach Collins and family, which is a nice donation. And the highway crew gets to go down there and set up the lights and set up the tree for the parade. Okay. I think we had a really good 2024. We have a full crew. We had 3 guys cutting grass this year. We were able to buy a new mower. So I think overall 2024 was a good year. And I want to thank you guys for all the work you guys do supporting the highway, Candace in the clerk's office, the supervisor's business office, and the highway guy, and my deputy for all the work that we did, and the chief. We do a lot of communication back and forth with the chief. We try to help him with the cars, right, just to get him in and out as quick as he can, because you guys know, if you got to take anything to Albany, it's a nightmare, right? So we're pretty crafty up there. So we try to keep them going. So again, thanks to everybody that helps out. I really appreciate it. And 2024 was a good year. And let's hopefully 2025 is a better year. All right.
I have a question though. So there was a third wiring harness. Was the F450 and the C4, did they come out of DA? Those two?
It should have.
Caster motor? Wiring harness?
I don't know off the top of my head now. I'd have to go back and look.
Okay, because there was a
DB machinery repair.
Yeah, there was a third one out of DB, and I was just curious why.
Probably because the funds are getting low, and there's funds in DA or something.
And that was the C4. That was the DB.
It's a pickup truck. Yeah.
All right. And that's the one that does village work? No, that's outside of village.
C4?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, he comes down here, and does this building, does the doctor's office.
okay. I just wanted to clear that up. Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to accept Danny's highway report. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's all I have.
Turn it on.
Yeah, I just had the, does anybody have any liaison reports to go through? I just, Keith pretty much covered everything. I sent out the emails when he came into the office and told me that division was down, and then 2 hours later, it warmed up.
Nice to see that we got a couple people now. We're starting, got the new person starting.
Yes, absolutely. We have a part-timer started, and a full-timer is going to be ending, starting next Friday, the 31st of the academy. Yeah.
So that's good.
Very good.
All right, moving right along to new business. Oh, yeah, this was one of the things. So I just have some new business that I wanted to kind of bring Ron and Linda kind of up to speed for the town village meeting. Just basically the only thing that I sort of wanted to put on everybody's radar, and I glancingly talked to Rich about it a couple days ago, was possibly starting a Queemans Foundation. It's not even more than just a thought right now. So if you guys want to think about having like a 501, what is it?
501c3.
Yeah. And then figure out how we would possibly want to use that.
Like for the school district, like as a
I sort of mentioned we were talking about Discovery Camp, and Nancy Warner brought up the fact that that we can't kind of do that together, but it's just an idea that I have, that maybe we can raise funds for the arts, for education.
Okay.
Just an idea that I had. And what else did we cover at that meeting? We pretty much, the comprehensive plan. It says right in it that you should kind of review it every 5 years and possibly renew it every 10 years. It's but 19 years old, and we do have the addendum from 2021. But once again, just to start a conversation about it, we should probably.
So why do you keep referring to it as an addendum from 2021?
It's an addition to the comprehensive plan.
But my understanding is that it was a standalone effort that was revising the 2006 plan.
I didn't get that impression. It says addendum on the cover.
Okay.
And I, just by reviewing it, I think that it just covers the. It sort of seems like it talks about economic development, and then there's a lot of resident comments at the end. It really is just an addition to the 2006 comprehensive plan. But I do think we should start conversations about it to see if we want to, take the pulse of the town and see where people are at. We have a rather large decision in front of us about the Fast New York grant and the substation at the Port of Queens that will literally change the face of Queens for generations. So it's a really important decision.
Well, you mentioned that. Have we had, since our last meeting, have we had any conversations with?
Yeah.
Because I spoke with somebody down there like 2 days ago, and they said they hadn't been contacted at all about any type of meeting.
I reached out to them, it was actually today though, but I did
Okay.
reach out to the folks from ESD, NYSERDA, Albany County, and then I included Town of Queens the Carver Company's representatives. They hadn't participated in the original meeting, but we felt that just due to their involvement, it would.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see what
and I had suggested the February 13th meeting at 6 p.m. and indicated that we were gonna try and.
That was today?
Yeah. eliminate that.
Thanks.
I mean, that was after my conversation with them a couple days ago. Okay.
What's the other thing? Okay. Yeah, that pretty much covers it for new business, just to sort of start that conversation for those pieces of business. And the other thing, I think, did, Rich, I don't know if you had, you sent the board the credit card policy.
Well, and that was really just to, I guess, start the conversation and follow up on our discussion last time about maybe the potential need to have some type of a credit card available, but the desire to really be sure that we had the appropriate safeguards and protocols in place. So this was a credit card policy, a draft that we had put together based on some guidance that's out there from the state comptroller. I know we just circulated it yesterday or today, so it's really just let me know if you have any comments. I had initially circulated it, asked for comments from the town clerk just based on her institutional knowledge of how it's been handled in the past and some issues that have cropped up. So that's our first draft. Let me know if you have any comments.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay, and that's it for new business. Okay, old business, the procurement policy. Everybody have a chance to review that?
To some extent.
And these, again, we don't have resolutions for these. They're not really on for action items, but just want to solicit any comments that folks have. You can also email me. I had circulated a slightly revised version of the procurement policy within the last few days based on some comments that the town clerk had offered in terms of a prior local law allowing best value procurement. And so we wanted to be sure that the policy connects to that. And let us know if you have any comments or questions.
And Rich, in your opinion, why did you think that we needed to update the policy? I mean, it was pretty thorough and based upon the comptrollers.
From what I can tell, I'm sort of new to the table, but it looks to me like the town has tracked the template that the comptroller puts out over the years, and that's both for the procurement policy and the investment policy. And the comptroller has simply, a latest and greatest version out there. And so these changes are reflective of that. With respect to the procurement, the current policy has been modified by a couple of resolutions as well, which provide some additional authority, I believe, to the sewer department and the highway department. And I think it makes sense to have them all in a single document. And so we've incorporated those changes directly into the policy itself.
And that would be under number 5. The creation of.
Yeah, that's A and B,
Yeah.
A, 5B.
Just based on their operations, they have the ability to make some expenditures that other departments don't.
Okay. What's everybody else think?
Yeah, if you're comfortable, if you want to make a motion to accept the procurement policy for January 1st, 2025.
I'll make a motion to accept the procurement policy for January 2025.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Oh, that's.
Is that an?
Ron, were you and I?
Steve, were you and
And it's only because it's in line with what you're updating it with the comptroller's policy.
Yeah. And Mr. Baker, you're okay with expending up to $2,000 for the purchase of materials, parts, and contractual expenditures before obtaining a purchase order?
So we're not changing.
No.
Nope.
Okay, yeah.
We've just included it all into one spot.
As long as we're not changing mine, you know.
It's the same.
Mr. Geraldson, Secretary.
That, it works with me because everything we purchase is over $250, so we constantly get purchase orders, and it was just a lot of paper. You know, and everything we get is over $250, and, you know. So I'm favoring it.
Okay, and I'm an aye.
As long as you're on the topic, the $200 limit for us is about a tire and a half for a patrol car. And if there's a way that we can, I'm not saying 2,000, but I certainly think on our threshold needs to be raised a bit for the purchase off process. We've come across it so many different times, with just supplies needed, equipment, cars. So if it could be, including the police department, and an increase in that threshold, that would be helpful.
Good about that.
I'm wrong with that.
I don't see any issue with it
So
either.
should we,
You want to make a motion to do that now, and just you can add it later?
Yeah, so it's really up to the board. We can either adopt it as it is, and then at the next meeting, I would present it sort of, you know, with that additional change, or you could modify what's before you and approve it as modified.
I'd like to see it right
It's
now.
the simplest
You
way.
guys wanna do it next
You want to
meeting?
write it out? Yeah,
Yeah.
so we can review
Yeah, I
it.
mean, you're obligated to review these on an annual basis, but you can update them as needed. So we can just, I'll do that. So if you want to act on this one, and then I'll update it and recirculate another draft that you can have at the next meeting.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
and are we gonna do the same with the police, 2,000?
I don't see why not, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's fine.
Well,
It's
I'll make a
consistent.
motion. You want to make a motion to expand the police to 2,000?
No,
Or he'll just write up as that, and we'll just accept the whole thing.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll do it this one now, and then we can.
Then Rich can.
He'll update it for the next meeting.
Aye.
Except
If
the
we,
update
if
next
we
meeting.
vote on it, he could.
I'll just, I defer to the board.
What do you want?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Pass it now. and then-
That's it now?
That way,
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
we can start
That's fine,
tomorrow.
me.
So are you amending the motion?
Yeah.
And so, and just so that we're clear,
Just
that
amending the
what
motion.
what we will do is add to section 5 a subsection C, and it will read the exact same as the others, except it will say the police chief.
Make a motion to amend.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Oh, wait, we get that mixed up. Next item is the investment policy. If everyone had a chance to review from the 9th. Rich sent out the red line version and the updated version. I have the red line.
I have the red line too. So, you know, I'm just gonna throw it out there again, you know, I would prefer to have, some sort of, indication under internal controls, or maybe another paragraph that, any money that's deposited and or withdrawn is done by board resolution.
Is that gonna slow, you know, if you're worried about things being, and I understand where you're coming from, right, Mr. Schmidt? But if you're worried about that, and then we're saying, well, we need board resolution, we meet every couple weeks, you know, if there needs to be something pulled out to, like we just saw with the $300,000, is that going to cause problems?
If we're planning properly, I don't think so. I think we should have known that $350,000 payroll bill should have been coming at the end of the year. So while we meet every 2 weeks.
But would you have seen that payroll if we didn't have the night class? It would just be in an account somewhere, and they would have paid it regardless, right?
Well, unfortunately, I think my opinion is that if you're managing the town's money, you should know what the payroll is gonna be, you know, week to week coming up, and you should have enough money ahead of time, to be able to pay the bills, so these payroll checks don't bounce.
That's exactly.
So I
what we
think
do.
that,
But they didn't bounce.
but I think by doing it by resolution is appropriate. You should have enough money in the account, knowing what the payroll is gonna be going forward. And anything, you know, for this stuff here, payroll, bills, stuff like that, that shouldn't happen. But if you get a big bill, like we gotta fix the sewer thing down there, and we gotta pay $200,000 for a sewer bill. You know, that's a special thing, you know, that we have to get together, and that's something separate. But for day-to-day operation stuff, the money should be in the account ahead of time. We shouldn't be pulling money out last minute to pay payroll.
It's not last minute.
So I think that, you know, resolution's appropriate for me.
So when we, you know, anytime money is transferred between funds to balance an account, to move money into an account, that's gotta be done by board resolution. And I don't think that this investment should be anything different.
Just to throw numbers out there, what you're suggesting, we typically pull in $500 a day with this investment. So the suggestion is to go from $500 a day to around $100 to $200 a day. So that's the numbers that we're working with, and that dictates our decisions, is earning money for the town. And there's been no issue before, and as Rich explained, it happens in bank accounts all the time. You have a checking account, you have a savings account. When you need the money, you move it. And we do it, and there's no issue with it. When we see payroll coming, we have weeks to do that. It's more than enough time to go into night class and move the funds. Takes typically 24 to 48 hours.
And again, I understand checks and balances. I'm all for checks and balances. But at the same time, I just don't want to cause more problems by doing that and slowing down the process of moving money from the NICLAS account out because you need board resolution rather than just doing it. I mean, we want checks and balances, so that's why we have, you know, the sheets every month reporting and telling us what are the deposits and withdrawals. That was part of the checks and balance system. I understand where you're coming from, and I agree, that'd be great, but I just don't want to have something happen where we're late on a payment or something. And I agree, you should know ahead of time, but things come up, and I just don't want to.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
cripple the
emergencies.
business office with like, oh, you got to wait for the board to have a resolution on that. That's my only issue.
Yeah, an emergency is something totally different than what we're talking
Right.
about right now. You know, what we're talking about is expenses that, you know we have to pay payroll. We know what our payroll is. So again, I'm just not comfortable with investing money and then not having enough money in our accounts, you know, where we have to pull money back. It just, to me, it doesn't.
I understand.
I'm a firm believer that there needs to be checks and balances, and there needs to be board resolution. I mean, I've asked in the past that a statement be provided other than what the supervisor provides. You know, a statement from NICLAS showing, you know, what the investments are and what they're doing. I haven't gotten that yet, so yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying no. I guess I just want to maybe talk with Regina and just verify with her, you know, if we do this, if we have a board resolution for all withdrawals coming out, is that something that is going to be, you know, fine with her and going to get everything paid on time and not going to slow down the business office? That's my only concern.
okay. I mean,
It would slow it down by 2 weeks or whenever we have the next meeting. It would substantially hinder our ability to earn interest.
I would note too that just generally, I mean, it would be a pretty fundamental change to your current investment policy, right? If you take a look at section 10, you know, as it currently stand, the town of Queens authorizes the town supervisor to invest monies not required for immediate expenditure for terms not to exceed its projected cash flow needs in the following types of investments: special time deposit accounts, certificates of deposit, obligations of the United States of America, so U.S. Treasuries, obligations guaranteed by agencies of the United States of America, obligations of the state of New York. And so, as it currently stands, the supervisor is authorized to just make these investments.
so
If
where, Mr. Riley, is,
this would be,
no, I know section 10, but where for the NICLAS specifically?
Well,
Which
so
one of
that-
those categories would that fall under?
the final bullet is by participating in a cooperative investment program with another authorized governmental entity pursuant to Article 5G of the general municipal law. That's what night class is. And so, I mean, I highlighted it here, that's actually the current language. And so if those investments for each one are going to require a prior resolution, I mean, that's really up to the board, but we'll need to change the policy as a whole. And I wouldn't think you would just do it with respect to night class, because night class is essentially the vehicle, right? The supervisor could go invest in US Treasuries tomorrow, and it's authorized under this policy. He could do it directly, right? So he's on behalf of the town through an authorized dealer just out purchasing those investments. With night class, you're purchasing those investments through the intermunicipal cooperative, which has in place the investment advisors, the legal counsel, it's a pretty robust vehicle that allows you to then go out and make the investments that you could currently do. So if the board wants to have prior authorization for each of those, we can do that, but we would have to change the policy as a whole, and I think we would want to do it beyond just the specific night class general municipal.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because I do think that's what should happen. Like, if we're going to invest money, no matter what vehicle it is, it should be board approval. The supervisors shouldn't just have the ability to invest money, taxpayer money, into whatever vehicle he or she chooses without board approval.
It's limited to those that are authorized under the general municipal law, but within the confines of that's how it's currently written.
That's how it was set up, that's how we talked about it from the very beginning.
One class resolution, wasn't there a specific language to basically the supervisor?
There's nothing wrong with it, it's.
No, no, that's not my point. My point isn't that there's anything wrong.
No, but you want more control, you'd like to see more control.
Well, I would like to make sure that when we are, as a town, we are investing money, and it's not just Supervisor Donnelly, it's any supervisor going forward, that is under this policy. And when this policy hasn't been amended, I think it's important that the board have some sort of checks and balance and control and the ability as a board to vote yea or nay as it pertains to investments. I'm not just talking about, having money in a savings account.
No, I understand.
So.
I mean, I personally think, this is a lot of good points, but I think we should, obviously not do anything with this. We should look at it, ask questions to people who ask questions to, and really, maybe next time, have a bigger discussion on it.
Yeah, you want to review it a bit more?
Yeah, I do.
Fine.
You may want to also look at the night class resolution you all approved and passed, giving certain liberties to transferring money, so.
And we have some flexibility, I would think, with that resolution, although to a certain extent, when you join an intermunicipal cooperative like that, they can give you a standard resolution that is essentially it's the authority they need to see for you to be able to participate in it. If we modify that too much, it may be that the town would not be able to participate in night class or NILAF, which is the other commonly used investment vehicle. But I could certainly look into that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and that just, this is old business that we haven't talked about. I think back in February or March, there was questions about the mileage, and we discussed doing a mileage policy. It hasn't really moved forward, so I just decided to write one. I didn't even send it to Rich yet. Just to review, if anybody wants to add or subtract, just to kind of move it forward a little bit. And I made one for Rich and Candace also.
Yeah, I know we were talking about, shoring up some of the language and lingo regarding a mileage policy for the town employees. So,
Because we don't have one.
Right.
We just have a resolution.
Yeah, so.
And we were going to discuss it at the town village meeting. I thought we were going that discussion about the mileage with the leachate field and the fuel costs. So I just wrote one that has mileage meters on it. It's just for review.
Did you pull this, like from another town?
No.
Okay, this was just something that you,
I just wanted to put the mileage meters on there and sort of get just a general broad stroke of some sort of a mileage policy. Just for discussion. Okay, so the next thing in old business is the BOCES grant discussion. We haven't really gone back and forth on how we want to approach BOCES for what types of grants. I just sketched out a few. We have the Discovery Camp program. We were talking about that at the town village meeting also. If we want to go after an educational grant or Parks and Waterfront, or even New York State Archives record management improvement. We were talking about that before. Not for the building, but for actual, I mean, Ken's will probably be aware of that. I'm not sure if you even sent us one. Did you email that to the board? A grant about the archival records?
No.
Okay, that must have been BOCES then. Just
No,
sort
it's
of,
BOCES.
It
yeah.
was posting.
Okay, just to get an idea of where we want to go with this, because I think we should start to move on it.
I mean, originally I was all about sewer, right? Like trying to get something for infrastructure and sewer, but it seems like hopefully, funding, if it's there, the $500,000, and then we have to talk as a
Well,
board.
that's congressionally directed. That we can get. Moving forward,
It's
I
a bigger
talked
amount
to
though,
yeah
right?
Colleen Carter at USDA. With all the executive orders that came out on Inauguration Day, we're not sure if there's going to be reasons of certain things. So, just something to look at. I think we should just have a plan at least, and have a conversation with BOCES which way we want to go. So we haven't really discussed that as a board. We should do that.
have we used any hours?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't even made a
All
decision.
our hours still. Okay.
And when will that be a year? Like when?
When do we start?
July.
Was that July? Something.
What happened is they had some turnover internally, shortly after we had moved into it, so there was a bit of a transition on that. Through the end of what would be their fiscal year, June.
And I think a big thing, that I'm concerned about is Discovery Camp and how the funding for that
Yeah, I'm with
is
you.
questionable. Well, it's not questionable.
Well, they're working on it.
They're working on
They're
it.
working on it. They're trying to
So-
put it in the budget,
Right.
and that will depend on a lot of things, but they won't
Yeah.
know until March.
I know.
I don't know how messy does that get in between a school and a town when you try to
How messy?
get an educational grant? Does that get?
Well,
Oh, I mean, I don't know for certain, but I would expect if you have, a lot of times the grants are awarded based on the number of points you get. And I would expect that if you have more than one municipal entity pursuing a grant together, that may actually give you more points.
Yeah, so we should have that discussion moving forward. OCs. Oh, Liberty update. So it seemed like where we kind of landed, where we were open to Rich to having discussions with John Vaginelis and sort of pulling something together, but the 30 years seemed to bother Linda and Mike.
The 30 years, I questioned it, yeah. But then, Mr. Riley explained why that 30-year mark is there. And that made a lot of sense to me. So again, I really feel like it's a historic building. It's for a good purpose. We have somebody, Liberty, who is willing to take it on and willing to invest in it for senior housing. I mean, personally, from everything I've heard, I support it. I support the pilot.
Yeah, and I like the idea that they said they're even willing to build more behind
Right.
Civil for more senior housing because we really need it in Queens.
But that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not sure
So
everybody
you're
else thinks.
comfortable with the 30-year?
I'm comfortable. I mean, after the explanation from Mr. Riley, I'm comfortable. Yeah.
I'm fine. I have reservations, but I'll go with it.
Do we know about what this total pilot is gonna end up being?
There was two numbers,
Or a
right?
ballpark? So the explanation that Liberty gave, it said Given the property's negative cash flow and the significant need for urgent repairs, we are proposing a renewed pilot agreement starting at $5,000 annually for the next 5 years. So essentially that means that they would pay $5,000 per year for 5 years in taxes. With a 2% annual escalator for years 6 through 30. And that 2% escalator would be of the 5,000, or that would be of what the property is assessed at?
I believe it would be up to 5,000, but I'll confirm that.
Okay.
And I just tried finding it. I don't have the site in front of me. I mean, they in part based the 5,000 on sort of their financials and what they needed in terms of their loan that they were getting through the state. They also based it on some exemptions that they think they're entitled to anyways, because they're offering a certain percentage of lower income housing or affordable housing, and the number they suggest approximates what their taxes would be anyways. It just gives them a little bit more certainty to do it through the pilot. But I can confirm with the assessor that how they've characterized what their assessment would be is correct, that she agrees with it, just to confirm that we're on the same page there.
Okay. Yeah, and just a reminder, so they say currently under section 581A of the real property tax law, the civil senior housing apartments property is assessed at $100,000, resulting in an annual tax payment of $1,967.09 for school taxes, $277.19 for the town, and $343.56 for the county. Now, at the end of that paragraph, they say, as you know, within the pilot and section 577, tax exemptions, private housing, finance law, within this pilot agreement, the town determines where the tax installment goes, split amongst the town, county, and school, or 100% directly to the town. So that means that if we were to accept this pilot based upon these terms, that we as a town could say that 100% of that pilot money comes to the town.
That's how I read that. I'll confirm that as well.
But they would still have to pay their, whatever their school tax and county tax is.
No, I think those other entities
wouldn't
essentially not receive anything under those circumstances. Looking at the existing agreement, it looks to me like it was shared between the various
school and the
governmental
town and the
entities.
county.
Yes.
Okay. All right, yeah, so if you could confirm that, that would help.
Okay. And just one other, I had pulled it up as another update. I did receive an email from the state yesterday. They indicate that they'd had a meeting with the state again this past week, and that the state will be releasing the funds soon, which will allow them to pay off the entire outstanding tax bill with Albany County. So I think that's good. I mean, Candace had flagged that for us initially, and it was a pretty sizable amount out there.
I mean, in the hundreds of thousands, wasn't it? Like 200,000?
150 something.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, look forward to hearing from you, Rich. Liberty. Also, just I think I emailed this out that there was some interest from town employees of being in the Workplace Violence Prevention Program Committee. I think I just emailed out if you'd like to talk to them or have other candidates in mind. Let us know how you feel, and we can kind of pull that together.
Should we be taking a look at the current policy that's in place?
Yeah.
And updating that prior to establishing a committee? Because a part of the policy is listing the committee members.
Right.
So is that what we're planning to do? We would update
Yeah,
the policy?
I think I emailed that policy out, boy, I don't know, April or May.
And I have a copy.
Oh, good, okay. Yeah, so just to kind of bring it back, we should just nail that down at the beginning of the year too while we do it.
Yeah, I mean, my suggestion and recommendation would be that we go through this policy and we update it, prior to selecting committee members. I think we're putting the
Sounds good.
or the cart before the horse
Yeah.
by.
Also, too, maybe we could talk about that on, we talked about like maybe doing workshops, like monthly workshops. I know we'd all thought that was a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
We really haven't narrowed down dates, whether we want to do it as set it up so we have it the same, Thursday of every month, or are we just going to do it as, every month, beginning every month, what date works for us? Obviously, it's not going to be within like 3 days, but what date works for us, and then we can post it and have the workshop.
I
So
think I put
it's just
forward-
something to think about.
Yeah, I mean,
think
I
they're
think
important. I think we have a lot of things to talk about, and I think
Yeah.
those additional
absolutely.
dates and times to talk is going to be beneficial for us.
So I think I put forward before, like at the beginning of the month or the end of the month, so we can have either an end of the month review or beginning of the month, where do we want to go? I think that's a great idea for those workshops.
I think based upon our schedules.
Yeah.
And our current, meeting dates, I almost wonder if doing it month by month might be more beneficial.
That's what I thought too. I thought it'd be
Rather than, trying to schedule a specific Thursday or a specific Tuesday every month. If we at our, first meeting of the month, we can just look at our calendars and say,
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can look at our calendars and maybe tomorrow or early next week we can figure out a date for February.
Yeah.
In the later part of February.
Kenneth, what would you prefer? Because your office would be involved. Would you like to have us schedule in advance? Does it matter?
Well, for posting purposes, at least if I could have like a 2-week notice.
Yeah.
And then, usually between Cheryl and I, one of us can get here.
Attend.
Worst case scenario, if I can't, you can appoint someone to take notes and record.
Okay. So you wouldn't have an issue if we did decide month by month to select a date?
No, just make it far enough in advance where I can post it for you.
Speaking of posting, has there been any work with the clerk about getting her access to the website since we last spoke?
Yeah, I spoke with the developers right after our meeting, because I had a meeting with them on Friday. And they had pointed out what I had forgotten, that our previous website was hacked and they couldn't figure out whether it was on purpose or accidental. And the reason that there wasn't a soft rollout was because they had to immediately get as much information as they could off there. And in fact, I think that's why we had an issue with the court and even the assessor's documents. Some of those we had to get from other sources because our website was in the process of a virus going through it, the old one going through it as we were developing it. So that's why there was a rush on that, which I completely forgot about. So that's the reason for that. And we're still kind of rolling out, like Fazio was having some difficulty today because he's pulling businesses together in different categories like restaurants or welding companies. And he's still working through that. And our position continues to be the least amount of hands in the pot, the least likely there's going to be a chance for contamination again, because we don't know.
We're only asking for
Well,
2 hands though.
Listen, with all due respect, the clerk has never had a problem with this website in all the years that I've known her, and she's worked on this website. Secondly, I think the clerk posting notices and getting stuff out there regarding taxes and public notices is a hell of a lot more important than posting where to get pizza right now in this town.
Well,
And, so
I
I think that we need to make sure that she's got access, and that should be done ASAP still.
Well, the old website had a virus that was
That's the old
threatening to
website.
crash
This is the new website. It's a new development. It's
Right,
all
so we're
done.
learning
We have a
that,
whole new thing.
and we will.
Her job is
definitely-
important. She needs to
we're
have
not
access to that
forgetting
site.
Candace.
And like I said, I
We're
don't,
protecting our $13,000 investment, which, everybody wasn't on board for. So we're talking about prudence. We're constantly talking about money and investments and protecting our investments. We're protecting this investment.
Well-
And there's no,
I just want to
no
get,
issue
what else does the
between the
board
two
think?
offices
Does the
working
clerk need
together.
access to this website? What do the rest of the board members feel?
So putting me on the website is a risk to that investment? Is that what you're saying?
The risk through a virus, so that's how we're gonna work. I asked them specifically, where did it come from? And they said, we don't know if it was uploaded accidentally by a document that was uploaded or on purpose. We don't know, so we're just being cautionary about it, and it should be not more than another week or two.
The town clerk is a risk to put on the website.
What's the rest of the board feel about
We're good.
the clerk's access to the website?
I firmly
I wouldn't
believe
frame it that way.
that's
That's the way you are framing it.
Needs
No, I'm
access.
not.
She needs access.
Yeah.
And you will have access to it just as soon as we're positive that nothing is going to
That I'm not a risk.
be uploaded.
So how are you gonna confirm that?
We run it through the developers. They have extra security that's going through. We're still in communication with them. This is happening every day in real time.
But if we're talking about, like, to use your example was a document may be infected that gets uploaded, and so there's correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that, you know, if the clerk's office, who has access to the website, which is a $13,000 investment, if they upload a document that's infected by a virus, that's what you're concerned about.
I'm not a web developer, so my concerns go to the web developer, and I refer to them and I use their judgment in order to make a decision. And
And they're saying that it
Yes.
should be limited to your office right now. That's the recommendation that you're
the
getting?
recommendation is, yeah, once you guys have a handle on this, not only, you know, as far as protection and security, but aesthetically, then a full rollout. And like I said, it would have been nice to have a soft rollout, but we didn't have that luxury.
How about this? Just, talk to the website people and just ask them a time frame of when we can expect to have.
I just said a week or two.
A week or two?
If we have a week or two, I think everything will be fine. You'll be able to upload documents.
And you mentioned before.
Oh, thank you for reminding me, before I can interrupt. I actually think that we should probably write a website policy so that everything is consistent and that we know everything that's going in. So if there is a virus, your office can track it and my office can track what we had put, if anything, from outside. So.
But she would be the only one posting. She would be taking information from others, but not necessarily letting them post.
Currently, the assistant to the supervisor can post and the supervisor can post, so they can do whatever they like and put a virus on there too. But I'm the risk.
Right, but I meant.
I'm in the risk. It's okay.
I wouldn't frame it that way, but you seem insistent on framing it that way.
I am insistent on framing it that way. Okay? And I think you're full of crap.
All right, that's your opinion.
Just talk to the web developer and just see what they say. Hopefully in a week or two, and it's all situated and solved.
Yeah,
That's all.
we'll have another discussion with them. I think Fazio called him today because he was having some issues, so
Fair enough.
we'll get you as soon as we can, Candace.
Not a problem.
Who is the
Supervisor.
website developer? Is it a company?
Cathode Ray, yeah, they're out of Greene County. And their developer, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it's Cathode, okay.
And who is your contact there?
The designer was Emily Berneman, and the developer is Bill. He's got a weird name.
Okay, so those are.
But I can email all that to you. We can have a larger discussion about this.
It's been a
fine.
while, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean,
And there's
they can do forensics. They can find out if there's something going on. I mean, that's what website developers.
They are, and just to further the conversation about it, the Chipmunky thing that we were having an issue with credit card or PayPal, we just put it in, they can put that cost into the post costs, which are about $80 a month. So I think Chipmunky or MailChimp is $15 a month. So in order to, you still have to have a credit card policy and a way to make payments, but that particular issue is solved through Cathode Ray about being able to have people subscribe to the website so that they can get emails, which essentially, Ron, I think you asked a question, just promotes people using the website, residents using the website, because it reminds them through their email. So it's a very simple and inexpensive way to move it forward. And like I said, we'll probably be there in a week or two.
Security.
Yeah, I would just insist that we jump on that. For old business, have we done anything with the transition from Vimeo to YouTube?
No, and I asked about that. I asked Fazio to ask Candace where, when does that expire, Vimeo?
Fazio hasn't asked me anything regarding that.
Okay,
I haven't set it up,
okay. But that credit card that was in your name for the town is.
which I canceled after fraudulent charges were put on, yes.
Okay. That wasn't during our administration, was it?
Yeah, it was.
What was that?
That was when you went to
New York
New York
City.
City and charged room service.
No,
Under my name.
that was my credit card.
No, it was on the
Because
town.
when I went to check in, there wasn't a Town of Queens credit card on there, so.
There
I
are
didn't
many
use mine.
people who have the foil with that credit card already, so it's fine.
Yeah, the information that I went down there wasn't there, and I have my credit card statements too, and if that needs to have a
You
further
bring it back,
discussion.
absolutely.
We can have a
but
further discussion about that.
Everyone has the documents, it's completely fine.
But, so my question is, like, I get that we have a subscription with Vimeo, but what are we doing to make that transition? So let's just say, and I don't know, let's just say Vimeo expires April 30th. You know, what are we doing between now and then to make that move? And can we make that move in addition to using Vimeo until that expires?
Yeah, I think that would be a question for Bill, or however we're gonna switch from Vimeo to YouTube, if we have to pull the Vimeo videos. And I'm having Steve do this as of a week ago. We purchased a terabyte hard drive to pull the videos off of Vimeo to put them on a hard drive so that we can upload them in a different format, so there's not two formats. Once again, we're trying not to have the website have too many different formats in it.
Sure.
And however that works, that's why I had the supervisor phone and a tripod here at the last meeting. We decided at the last minute to not do it because we couldn't figure out a way to just have one camera on the town board and one camera on the lectern. But once again, yeah, that's a discussion if there's any ideas on how that should happen. If Bill is going to continue or we're going to use cell phones, I personally think that, as long as we switch over to YouTube, that would be fine. I'm not sure how.
Yeah, my
We
hope.
would still need
my
Bill.
hope is-
Right.
Right, my hope is you just take off Vimeo and put in YouTube and use all the same cameras and all the same software.
Yeah.
And that's when we change. You just gotta make an account, I would assume.
Well, I think you did make an account.
Did you already make an account
Or
for-
your
Yeah,
office
for the
made an
town
account.
of Queens, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to Bill, and maybe Bill knows more of how to do that, of how to switch it over when the time comes, and how does that work?
Yeah, and I think I was talking this afternoon about how it live streams to Vimeo, and I don't think YouTube can do that. So, and I don't even know if it's required. I don't think it's required to have a live stream. But yeah, that has to be switched over because we're not going to pay for Vimeo anymore.
Yeah, I think I think almost all of us, if not all of us, are all in favor of switching to YouTube.
And it should be a live stream. It shouldn't just be a recorded that people can review. They should be able to watch it live.
So that might be a monetary cost for YouTube. I'm sure they have that service.
I don't know. I know the village does. I know the Albany County legislature uses YouTube.
High school uses it
The
for
high
their,
school uses YouTube, so,
For live stream.
yeah.
well, they have a live account because they broadcast their sports through it.
True,
all the time.
right, that's right.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
check the cost. on
So I'm sure,
Is there a Vimeo contract or service agreement?
I think it's a 1-year agreement.
And we should, if somebody could get me a copy of that agreement,
Fazio.
take a look at it, just be sure there's not some auto renewal provisions in there or something.
I mean, it'll just get rejected anyway because that credit card's no longer in existence, but
Well, our contractual obligation wouldn't necessarily go away, right? So we wouldn't get the payment, but we might be locked in, so we just wanna check that.
He had Vimo when George was supervisor, so
Yeah.
it's more than a year.
yeah, well, we renewed it. Whenever I don't know when the renewal date is, but, So is that something that you'll task Mr. Fazio to?
Yeah, I'll have him look into
Sort
the
out the
cost of
details.
that and find the Vimeo contract.
And if we could just get an update, like at our next meeting, that would be good.
I mean, yeah, I'll probably send out emails as I do as things unfold, so you can have the information before the meeting. Okay. Well, that brings us to resolution.
I, Councilmember Hoteling, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Chief Fiscal Officer previously determined that in order to maintain proper balances within various accounts, several inter-fund transfers are necessary. And whereas, and the draft says 127-24, we're making it 126-24, which was previously passed on November 25th, 2024, to implement those transfers contained some clerical errors. And whereas in order to maintain proper accounting, that resolution 126-24 should be rescinded in the interfund transfers and the interfund transfers set forth below approved. Now, therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Queens does hereby authorize Supervisor Stephen Donnelly to transfer the funds as depicted below for budget year 2024. This is out of the general fund A. $4,079.64 from contingency A 1990.4 to account A 1420.4 attorney contractual. $13.35.27 also from the same contingency to A 5132.4 garage contractual. The amount of $800, same contingency fund, to A 7270.4 band concerts contractual. $704.33, same contingency fund, to A 8090.1 environmental control leachate facility personal. $13.08.02, same contingency fund, to A 8090.4 environmental control leachate facility contractual. $16.62.02, same contingency fund, A 8810.1 cemeteries personal. $17,000 from A 3120.1 law enforcement personnel to A 3120.2 law enforcement equipment, and $115.74 from DB 9089.8 other employee benefits to DB 9055.8 disability insurance.
I'll second that.
Any
So-
discussion?
Yeah, so for discussion, so if you will recall, we were looking to get some sort of explanation. So we did get an explanation from Regina, and I just want to read what it says, because I'm not really sure that I understand it, so maybe you can piece it together for me. So it says the contingency amounts were charged, but I also opted to leave out a substantial amount from law enforcement personnel A3120.1 because I realized that more payroll would be pulled from that line. I wanted the full year payroll to be posted in case that 34,000 total would overdraw that line. I therefore only asked for 17,000 to go from personnel line to equipment because I knew we had some big police equipment invoices coming in. So if I understand this correctly, we are, through this resolution, we are rescinding 126-24, which was passed on November 25th. On that original, there's talk of 20,000 and 14,000, which would be the 34,000 that Regina is referencing in this explanation that she provided. So what happened with that 14,000? Because essentially, we passed this resolution on November 25th. These transfers take place, but now it's January 23rd. So do we have to reverse, aside from just retracting this resolution, do we have to reverse the 14,000 that went from 3120 law enforcement personnel service to 3120.4 law enforcement contractual? Because I'm just worried that there's $14,000 now that's unaccounted for.
Okay. So these numbers are the 20 and the 40.
20 and the
which-
40?
The 20 and the 14, I'm sorry, when they put together 34,000
Yeah.
is what she was working on with the numbers that she thought she had correct from Sarah, which they were not. So when she puts these forward and we vote them, that triggers Sarah to come in to actually move the money. These are theoretical numbers. These are numbers that she says, this is what we need to do. Sort of like night class, like this is what we need to put in here because law enforcement personnel had too much in it because of the hires weren't there at the time of this. But law enforcement equipment, we had 923 get a $4,000 oil cooler line. So that money had to be transferred. It's very like night class. The money has to go to where it is needed. And so after the real numbers came out, this is not a number that she could rely on anymore. In fact, she wrote that the 20 and the 14, which is 34K, was possibly going to overdraw that line. Therefore, I changed it to just 17 because that's what she saw that we had in there. So that's acceptable. It's not going to overdraw anything. But still, when we pass this, then Sarah comes in, the accountant comes in, and looks at the numbers and transfers everything according to the plan that the business office made to give to us to vote on. That's how it works.
So Regina's,
This isn't actual money. Like when you say, where did the $14,000 go? There was no $14,000. It was just, that's what we needed to do at the time until she found the exact numbers, which was $9,889.28, which is this. That's why this was changed.
yeah, no, I understand that. I just, again, you know, we as a board, we are counting on the fact that these resolutions and the numbers that are provided by Regina are accurate and correct. And so we're passing a resolution and you're telling me, or she's telling me, or you're both telling me, or the board, that these numbers are not correct because the numbers that she has in her book don't match the numbers that Sarah has.
Well, that's the check and balance. When Sarah comes in, she says, no, I can't do this. This is the one that goes back with the $9,000 on top when she thought there was $15,000. So that stops the process. And she said, I can't do this. They have to go back. You have to rescind this, and you have to have these updated numbers that are updated in the journal. And I think it was a software issue that she was going back and forth with Edmonds that was part of this, not all of it. Basically just how an office runs day to day. And then, like I said, it goes through, her numbers come to us, we vote on it, those numbers go to Sarah, and she puts them through if it's possible. If not, it triggers her to say, I can't do this, because it's not gonna balance. And I think I actually have a message from Sarah in here too, explaining that.
I don't know, it seems very convoluted and
It's a business office.
I'm just, it raises my eyebrows and I'm just concerned and.
Well, here's our accountant's explanation. Cleaning up the minor loans that happened during the year. Examples, I am trying to clean up the minor loans that have happened during the year. An example of when this happens is, say, a check was coded to the general fund and paid, but then the department had realized that they should have coded it to another fund. Since the fund that the claim was originally charged to paid the bill, I make an adjustment to show that the correct fund owes the money back to the first fund. And now I was asking Regina to physically move money back to the proper fund. Another example is if a payroll check is issued in error, and the money was moved to the payroll account and now it needs to be returned to the original fund that paid for the charge.
But that doesn't talk anything about incorrect numbers or numbers not being what they should be from the bookkeeper.
Well, her third example would be that we earned some money, interest on money in a capital fund on funds that will relate to a sewer capital project, and the sewer fund is responsible for paying the debt service on the project. In this situation, we give the interest earned in the capital fund to the sewer fund to help pay for the debt service. We try to clear out the loans between each fund year, so each fund stands on its own. This year, they were very small, but I want to try to clean them up if possible. And I think she's talking about the $100 one.
Yeah, I agree with that, but specifically with this, you know, Regina's books don't match Sarah's books.
Yeah, and she had said that, and she is not trying to place blame on Sarah, but she hadn't seen her in a couple of weeks, and there was a software issue, so she had numbers that weren't accurate. She based her work on those numbers. Those numbers went to Sarah. She saw that they weren't going to work and didn't move any money around. And then it came back to us again after the numbers were correctly updated. Is it clear? So this, with rescinding the old one, this makes the movement of this money perfectly fine, and this is what needs to happen in order to continue to function, especially with the law enforcement equipment. And the other small ones, like the disability insurance, it was just, you know, if the quote was, it came in higher than it was quoted.
And you look at all this too in the explanations?
You're directing that to me too? Yeah. No idea. I mean, my understanding is, business owners had put together a resolution to adjust the several accounts based on the understanding that the accountant had already posted certain amounts. The accountant had not. And so after this resolution was adopted, but before it was posted by the accountant, they realized that they couldn't do what this resolution was asking them to do. And so they're now recirculating a new resolution with clarified numbers in it. The accountant is asking the board to do it or recommending that the board do it to adjust the various budget entries. So, I mean, I'm comfortable with it based on her recommendation, and you know, if she's recommending it, I think it makes sense to do.
By rescinding 126, you are negating that resolution, so all of those transfers that happen will be reversed. So you're back to zero. By passing this, you will be effectively putting in the correct amounts that should have been put in 126A. So as long as you're rescinding the original, this one is okay to accept if we are certain that these numbers are correct, which we seem to be at this point.
I'm not certain, but I mean, the numbers are there and I'm being told, but I'm not certain that these numbers are correct just based upon past practice.
Well, if that's the case, we shouldn't vote on any resolution with a number in it.
Because you can't.
I mean, I at a certain point you have to have faith in your Sarah, Regina, and I don't have their books in front of me. We get bits of information as a board, and we vote to the best of our knowledge. But we go by the judgment and the trust and the knowledge and experience of the people who are specialized in those parts of the town. Just like we would go to Dan for something with the highway, and we go to Keith for something for the sewer. I don't know anything about the sewer plant, but I trust what Keith says is accurate, and I have to go with his word. He's the expert.
We're trusting them to do their jobs correctly.
I agree.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Did you? I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens previously funded a capital project for the purchase of highway equipment, and whereas the capital project is now complete, with $100 remaining in account HM 909 fund balance, and the town's accountant recommends that this capital project be closed at this time, and the remaining $100 be transferred to DB Highway Fund as it pays for the debt service on this project. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby authorize Supervisor Stephen Donnelly to close the purchase of highway equipment capital project and transfer the remaining balance to DB Highway Fund and approve the following amendment to the 2025 HM capital project budget. The amount of $100 increase HM 9901.9 interfund transfer expenditures to $100 HM 599 appropriated fund balance.
Second,
Oh, okay.
discussion?
I'll second that.
No,
I'm
here in a
sorry.
second.
You did second it, sorry. Thank you.
Just for discussion,
Just
Donnelly.
Donnelly. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Donnelly.
Mr. Riley, you had a conversation with Ms. Morrison right before our meeting or sometime this afternoon to address.
Email communications. I had circulated an initial draft last night, based on my understanding, sent to her, just to have her sign off. She had some slight modifications, and so that's what's
Okay.
in front of you, is what she recommends. And then I would just note, we call it a budget transfer. She was really talking about it's an amendment to the 2025. Really a budget amendment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Where does that take us? Union. I, Supervisor Donnelly, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Queens is desirous of authorizing the town supervisor to execute agreements with local unions, CSA, and Council 82. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby authorize Supervisor Stephen Donnelly to execute all agreements between the town of Queens and contractual employees, CSEA, and Council 82.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
And I would just note on this one was on the agenda for the organizational meeting. For one reason or another, it did not get in the packet that I brought to you all. The town clerk noticed it when she was doing the minutes, so this is just that standard.
All in favor?
Aye.
I, Councilmember Schmidt, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens Police Department continues to actively recruit qualified police officers to serve the residents of the town of Queens. And whereas the police department has been working with the Albany County Department of Civil Service to canvass the eligible candidate list for suitable candidates for employment. And whereas an individual who has been identified and has successfully completed the requisite background investigation process. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby authorize the hiring of Michael Galliard as a full-time police officer with the town of Queens Police Department effective January 31st, and his enrollment in the Zone 5 Police Academy training facility located in Schenectady, New York.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
When's graduation for that, chief?
July.
You usually go up to that and all that?
I do.
Yeah. Let us know, or so maybe one of us will go up there or something like that.
Absolutely.
All right.
I, Councilmember Bruno, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens Police Department continues to actively recruit qualified police officers to serve the residents of the town of Queens. And whereas a candidate has been identified for part-time employment with the Queens Police Department, who is also a recent graduate of the Zone 5 Police Academy in Schenectady, New York. And whereas a background investigation has been successfully completed. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby authorize the hiring of Simeon Davis as a part-time police officer with the town of Queens Police Department.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And Chief, thanks for having Sergeant Arnold bring Officer Davis over to the office.
You got to meet him good, and I just wanted to say thanks to the board. This will allow us to start to fill some vacant shifts, particularly on the overnight shift that we can struggle to fill. So with the addition of these two gentlemen, we expect to have true 24/7 coverage in the near future.
Good, thanks. And Councilmember Holt telling offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board, the town of Queens, has retained LaBerge Engineering and Consulting Group, LTD, LaBerge Engineering, to provide planning and engineering services to the town. And whereas the town board has received proposals, the addenda, from LaBerge Engineering to provide, one, grant administration services in connection with fiscal year 2024 $500,000 community project funding grant that the town has received from the United States Department of Agriculture. And number two, professional services related to the development of a preliminary engineering report and an update of the town sewer system improvement program, preliminary option of cost. Whereas LaBerge Engineering proposes to bill at its normally hourly rates for addendum number 2025-1200, that would be number one, up to $10,000 and 0 cents plus reimbursable expenses, and a lump sum of $50,000 for the second addendum, addendum number 2025-01300. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board, the town of Queens, has hereby authorized Stephen Donnelly to sign the addenda provided by LaBerge Engineering, Agricultural and Surveying Group.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
So is this money that we're gonna pay, we have to pay out of pocket?
No,
Is this money that is gonna come out of the $500,000?
yes.
Okay, so in the event that we don't see the $500,000 for some time, they're gonna be okay with doing this work up until that $500,000 is released?
I mean, I think that's why he had it first, because he'll go after the 500,000. And then go into the engineering report. Probably be in their interest to do that.
But your understanding is we wouldn't pay anything out of pocket?
Correct, yeah, that's my understanding.
Can you maybe just, email Ben tomorrow, Ben Seiden from LaBerge or whoever, and
No, I think
just
actually,
verify that that's the,
yeah, I had I did not forward that to you guys? I had yeah, maybe. Okay, yeah. This was, yeah, yesterday afternoon. So I had some questions for the USDA about how we could spend the money so that we would have an idea of where we wanted to go with it. The questions were essentially, can the USDA grant, was about the lift stations. Can we spend money that we don't have yet? So as far as that was, the cost of the environmental report is an eligible project expense. They cannot pay for the application preparation. That's why, as I mentioned on the phone, and as part of the engineering report develop, you don't have any funding. So the cost of an income survey is eligible. That's the survey that Ben was talking about that goes door to door to make sure that we're over, I think he said the 52%, so that we could
Go for the bigger money?
apply for the 2.1 or the, what was it, the 2.3 or the 3.1?
like that.
Yeah, the 2 or the 3 million. So that's covered also, which is good news. As a matter of fact, that's what Ben had said. He wrote that email, all good info. So we'll pay out of pocket for the grant prep for the USDA, but we can use the grant to cover the cost of the environmental review and the income survey and the wastewater treatment plant engineering report. So that's great because that report's gonna, he said anywhere between $50,000 and $60,000 they can use the money from the $500,000 for. As far as the lift stations are concerned, that might turn into a legal question about emergency funding.
So I'm taking a look at that, and I have Michael in my office taking a look at that as well. I don't have an answer for you yet, but we are looking into that, and I think I may need to have some conversations with you, Keith, just in terms of some of the factual details, so that we can decide whether or not that would qualify.
So he said that grant prep is out of pocket. Do we have any idea what that cost is gonna be? Is that gonna be $10,000?
Up to 10,000, which usually
Right.
means it's gonna be close to 10,000.
Right.
As I understand it, the 10 is to administer the grant that you've received, and then the additional amount would be to pursue
Right.
additional grant funding. The USDA response indicates that could be covered by the grant. But I would read the contract as I think you have to front it.
Right, that was gonna be my next statement.
I don't think.
They don't just cut us a check and then we pay our vendor. You know, we have to pay it.
You would show that the expenditure has been made, I believe.
Yeah, that's my understanding. And so my question from that is, where are we going to take that money from to pay that money up front?
Probably from general fund.
You think
That's where the majority.
you think there's enough money in there to cover this expense up to $60,000?
I do, but I would also look into the sewer fund to see what they have.
Do we want answers to those questions before we proceed with this resolution?
Well, like I said, it would come from the general fund because there's enough money there.
Well, we need to do it to get the 500,000, right? I mean, it has to happen.
It has to happen.
So,
And we're
Does it-
also on a deadline for the springtime
I know.
grant, and what I get from Ben is that this should happen if we want to have a chance to go after anything larger.
I mean, it'd be nice to know like exactly where the money's coming from. I agree, but it's either gonna come from A or it's gonna come from the sewer department if they have that much money. But it's got to come from somewhere because we have to get it.
Yeah, I just want to have
Right.
a conversation.
No, I agree. I agree.
That way there's no surprises when you see
I
budget transfer.
I agree. Yeah, that's a good question. It's up to everybody else. I mean, I think I think we need the 500,000. So we're just gonna have to figure out where the 10 grand's gonna come. If we're up to $10,000 gonna come from, whether it's A or sewer, and just figure it out.
And the money we spend on the prep and all that comes out of the 500,000.
Yeah, well, there's some prep that won't be reimbursed, but. Okay.
I'd rather spend 10 to make 500,000, or a little bit more. But up to you guys. If you guys feel like you want to find out more information, that's fine too. But
No, I mean, I don't want to miss out.
No, the sewer is in bad shape, and this is a good start.
And I guess we'll be able to see what LaBerge can offer.
Yeah.
You know, by
See what they can do with this, because you never know, they could use it for something else.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and moves adoption. Whereas the town of Queens is desirous of hiring a per diem social worker to assist with the delivery of available resources for town residents in need. And whereas the town has identified a highly qualified individual with extensive work history in social service field. And whereas the appointed social worker will work on as needed basis and be available as a resource for the town of Queens Police Department and or other departments for consultation and intervention services. And whereas the social worker is expected to be utilized for approximately 1 to 2 hours per week, resulting a $5,000 annual cost. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby appoint Jessica Dorr, MSW LCSW-R, on a per diem basis at $50 an hour, effective immediately.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
How many hours did you use her a lot last year?
$3,500 worth.
We did use her several times, and it's been a very good advocate for the town. I'd like to use her more. I was mentioning to Linda that I think the social service net in the county is on the game this last year and this year. So there's a lot of activity with social services.
And this is one of those resolutions we should have done in January 1 anyway, probably, but.
Are you familiar with her, Mike?
I worked with her for a while, yeah. She's great.
Very good.
Yes.
Good. I, Supervisor Donnelly, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Be it resolved that the town board has approved the payments of the bills as presented in the abstract for January 2025 as follows. Prepaid vouchers, 24000001 to 24000033, 25000001 to 25000032, and 2 from the following funds.
Can I make a correction?
Sure.
We actually updated it. There was, remember that discrepancy in the back that we had?
Oh,
So we took out that, crossed out that, that's the new number.
okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't give you the updated copy.
Let me just read yours.
Yeah.
To clarify, prepaid vouchers 24000001 to 24000033, and 25000001 to 25000032 from the following funds: general, $155,150.93. Part town, $28,741.71. Highway part town DB, $82,705.70. Sewer, $51,075.30. Custom agency, $108,887.10. Voucher numbers 24000034 to 24000072. 25000035 to 25000060 from the following funds: general, $230,236.41. Part town, $4,757.98. Highway DA 0. Highway part town DB, $24,661.93. Sewer, $18,366.06. TA fund 0. For all total funds equaling $704,583.12.
What's that?
I'm 700.
No, that's
That's
because
the old one,
this
right?
number.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll second for discussion.
Thanks, Dave.
Sure. So for discussion, there were two prepaid invoices that total $11,708.38 that we removed from this resolution. Those two invoices were not coded properly and they weren't put into our MCJS system. So that has to be addressed.
Yeah.
Like,
So are these the two that you're talking about? Because I took them out of the folder.
yeah.
And so this is the stamp in the business of my signature, and this is not my address. These did not go over my desk, and I'm having a conversation with Regina in my head right now, and I'm thinking that if she would say, for the Bank of Greene County, why they weren't coded is because they were used to purchase for closing costs. And
Title for all vacations.
right. So I want to double check this with her because,
So you're saying that you didn't sign that or date that?
yeah, I'm not happy about this. That's what I'm saying.
So that's a concern. Especially since you said this is how an office runs day to day, not that long ago. And, if you're getting signatures on invoices and dates that aren't yours on $10,000-$11,000 worth of bills and invoices, I hope that's not how an office runs day to day over there.
Well, it came before the board and we put a stop to it. So good work on you. And we'll go back the next meeting. And I'll email you guys tomorrow morning as soon as I get some information about this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So do we have to vote on it? Sorry.
Oh, did you? Oh, the resolution. Sorry about that. All in favor?
Aye. But again, I know this is after the vote, but just for the record and everything else, these two checks have already gone out. So there is $11,708.38 that were in prepays that have been sent out. I don't know if the checks have been cleared or not, but they're not in the MCJS system. They weren't coded properly, but yet they were sent out. And to your point, you didn't review them, they were rubber stamped.
Right.
That's a huge problem.
Correct. So as soon as I get some information tomorrow morning, it'll be right on the first thing in the morning. I'll let you guys know where we're standing with that and what the explanation is.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Upcoming meetings, February 10th, 2025, PBZBA at 7 p.m. February 13th is our next meeting at 6 p.m. And February 26th is PBZBA meeting at 7 p.m. and February 27th is town board meeting.
You do also have the February 5th annual audit meeting at 6:30 PM here.
For the audit meeting.
At 6:30, correct?
Everyone's gonna be in attendance?
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I didn't have the opportunity to make the village, town meeting. Was there a date set for, another workshop with the?
No, maybe we'll put that on email to the village. See if we can all agree on a date.
Yeah, the audit meeting, that was quite a schedule.
Yeah.
Took about a week and a half.
Could have done it without me.
No, we'll be there.
Right.
Okay,
Are we gonna look at dates for a workshop for February, or are we gonna do that?
I think we should, can we do that through
Email?
email to
Sure.
see where
Yeah.
we're all landing?
Yeah.
There's something else I wanted to say. Oh, the 13th, so that's going to be, we're trying to schedule that for ESD.
Yes.
So, that's,
Yeah.
that's a big one, so we'll try to make that just for that.
Right.
At 6 p.m. and not, too much more. Okay, public comment time.
I'll make it short.
You don't have to.
The $5,000 pilot program, is that for 30 years?
Yeah, so what they're proposing is a 30-year pilot where the first 5 years, they start by paying $5,000 for taxes.
Right.
And then for years 6 through 10, it would be a 2% escalator.
So why are they giving them such a good deal? I mean, they don't do that for the homeowner.
So, I mean, there are a couple components to it in terms of the term. The reason that they look for a 30-year term for the pilot is that they're financing in the state of New York is a 30-year loan, and the folks from the state who are underwriting the loan want some sort of level of certainty as to what tax payments are likely to be over the course of that loan, and so that's why we're looking for such a lengthy period of time, and that was a question that some of the board members had. In terms of the amount of the pilot, they've indicated that that's actually it approximates what they would otherwise pay in taxes under the law, and the reason that they're paying these taxes is that they are entitled to an assessment, a reduction of their assessment based on the fact that they commit to renting to a certain percentage of, affordable units.
Now, if they sell, does this go forward with the new owner?
It would, I'll confirm that, but I expect that if it was subject to the same terms, right, if the new owner came in and was gonna make the same commitments, then they would, have the benefit of the same pilot and be subject to the same finance terms with the state of New York. If they were gonna come in and try and do something else, then they would obviously, not be the beneficiary of the pilot anymore.
That resolution that you passed, the 34,000, or back in November, is that still on the books or has it been rescinded?
Well, with the passing of this resolution, the November resolution has been rescinded.
It has been rescinded?
Mhm.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that, yeah, okay.
Thanks, Barb.
Couple things, with the grants, I got a grant a couple years ago. You have to lay out your money first, right? So I got a $30,000 Albany County grant, and I was very unfamiliar with how the process worked. And I sat down with Nita. Nita says, you gotta lay out your money, you gotta do all your work, keep all your paperwork, and then you have to send it in, and then 6 months later, you get reimbursed. All right, so I'm pretty sure that USDA one is very similar, so I think you guys are gonna have to lay out front your money, and then if you're awarded, you have to do all the documentation, and then 6 months down the road, you get the money back. Okay, but just check on that. Credit card. I'm a proponent for a credit card. All right, so I'm urging the board to pass a resolution, the department heads have a credit card. We buy everything on voucher. There's a humongous paper trail. You guys all sign it, you guys all review it. Again, you guys have any questions, you know where I am, you know how to reach me. There's 90%, 95% of my business is done by voucher, but there are a few occasions where we need to use a credit card. A couple times, I used it from Candace, had to come down here, I had to get it from Nita, I had to get it from Candy. It's a major pain. I almost bought stuff for the town on my own credit card, right? My wife said, you're gonna sleep in the garage tonight if you do that. So, I know there's people that don't like the credit card, but if I make a purchase, I get the receipt, I attach it to the voucher, you guys see it. If you have any questions, hey, what did you buy, right? I always try to tell a story on the vouchers so you guys can understand what I'm purchasing. So for me, a credit card would be a big help. Last year at this time, Councilman Hotel brought up about the grant writer from BOCES. Have you guys done any work in 2024 with any grants or anything? Or was there a grant writer? Because I remember Nicole started and then she left. Then you guys are talking about BOCES. So was there any progress there or any grants applied for? Because Ronnie said, you know, I'm going to be paying attention. And at the end of the year, I want to know what grants we applied for and what grants we received. And I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys about that, but did any of that happen?
That was what we were talking about in old business. We have to make a decision as a board on what we want to apply for.
Well, for 2024, did any grant work happen?
No.
Okay.
No. So we have BOCES, we paid $20,000 and we get hours. So I think we had like 135 hours of their time. So we have to figure out, and the emails are sent up today to remind us, like, start thinking about what we want to have BOCES go after.
Yeah.
So, you know, and my suggestion would be to, you know, our ideas, but also to maybe department head ideas of what they think is necessary, because again, it seems like a lot, 135 hours, but again, from what I hear, grant writing it eats it up pretty quick. So we're just sort of trying to figure out what to go chase after to get the most bang for our buck.
No, I think you're on the right track. NICLAS. So for 2024, and then you're not going to get specific, how much money did you invest in 2024? 3 million, 5 million?
Yeah, also to your point, I thought that what we have in the supervisor's report was satisfying the
I think we should focus on
transparency.
Mr. Baker's his comments first.
So I don't care what you call
Well, it varies. That's the point of a liquid asset.
So one thing I don't hear you guys talk about is what are the costs associated throughout the year for doing all this business? So there's got to be a cost there, right? When you invest all this money, they're not investing it for free, right? Is there charges and costs to do that work? I don't hear any of that. What money is that?
Yeah, I'll confirm that. My recollection, though, is that that's essentially reflected in the interest that you're earning, right? And so maybe you earn slightly less interest than you would have if you did that investment on your own.
Mhm.
The benefit of doing it through NICLAS is that you have all of their expertise, right? There's lawyers, there's investment advisors, there's also all those folks in the background.
So and the only reason why I ask, because I think I'm kind of against it, but I think you said it made 80 grand, right, for 2024?
For the last 3 months.
Huh?
For the last 3 months we started,
I mean, it's 80 grand, right? So I think it's a positive thing. So, but I would like to hear if there's a cost.
I'm not sure if you got a copy, but.
I don't get copies.
No, why not? At the end of December, the supervisor's report said that the ending balance in NICLAS was $4.3 million plus sitting in the NICLAS account. which is generated, you know,
Yep.
that $80,000, you know,
Yep.
minus, you know, some stuff coming in and out, you know, type of thing. But a good chunk of what we had in our normal stuff is now in NICLAS, which is making a hell of a lot more interest than it was if it was sitting in the bank of County or Coxsackie, yeah. I mean,
80 grand is 80 grand.
And again, you could go out and get US Treasuries your own, right? I mean, the interest rates are just more favorable now, but rather than do that sort of independently, you're essentially doing that through NICLAS. You can go out investing in.
So, yeah, just curious if there was a cost associated for the year of doing all that business. If there is, I'd love to hear.
Council member Donnelly Schmidt said earlier, yeah, you know, we don't get a copy of the actual monthly statement. We just get this printed out at the end of the month, and you know, if we saw the actual statement itself, we would maybe see if there's any fees associated with anything.
Again, that's up to you
This
guys.
is the statement that we print off the website.
You guys are the
Well,
stewards.
this says supervisor's report, doesn't say, you know, it's not a business report from that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to see the
Sure.
statement from
Yeah.
NICLAS. And I've said that for a couple of months.
You know, my investment guy sends me a list of all my funds and everything that where my money is.
I mean, again,
So you guys are the stewards of the town, right? You guys are the stewards and you guys do all of the auditing of the town taxpayers' money. So I think it's a great idea. You should have some sort of report every month so that these guys can see. I agree with Councilman Schmidt. There should be a resolution. I know it's a pain in the rear end, but we make resolutions on every single dime that we spend here. But when it comes to NICLAS, there's no resolution. That, to me, that boggles my mind, right? The chief spends $250 on tires, you guys gotta have a resolution. But we move 400,000 or $1 million, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Well, you're talking about a purchase and an investment.
Purchase, right.
Two separate things.
Well, you're taking money and you're investing it, right?
But we approved of the investment.
I'm sorry?
We did approve of investing.
Okay, I just think there should be any time that you guys move, purchase, or anything with taxpayer-funded money, there should be a board-approved resolution, right? That's transparency 101. That's taxpayer money.
Would you feel the same way about, say, an IDA money, pilot money? That's not non-taxpayer money, just out of curiosity?
No, taxpayer money, right? So people pay taxes to the town, you guys are the stewards to fiscally manage that money, right? So I just think, and again, I'm listening to this, and I'm saying, why wouldn't they want balance and checks and balances? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? I mean, it just makes sense. By saying no, it makes it sound like you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, right?
Well, there's the NICLAS has a policy that is available. The monthly statements are absolutely available, and so are the transactions. That is not a problem at all.
The other thing I learned, I didn't know, the school uses NICLAS. So I just
When
learned
did they
that
start doing that?
at our meeting.
When did they start doing that?
I don't know. I was shocked.
Because I had a conversation with Brian a few months ago, and I'm like,
Yeah.
we should really do this.
Yeah, so
It's a liquid asset fund. I
Yeah.
mean, the prongs that they use are legality, liquidity.
yep. So,
Steve,
but
so
just some thoughts, and like I said, just concern. Thank you, guys.
who said to invest this money? Didn't the board say that?
We voted to invest
Yeah,
it.
that's what I thought.
And again, like, to sort of answer Dan and you, Barb, you know, it's a sort of a new thing, right? The town's never done this before. So we are slowly but surely, like, you know, we started it and we're saying we need more transparency. So we have the monthly statements. We had to make sure that any money taken out just can't be taken out and put into somebody's bank account. If you put it in to a fund, you know, from a fund, if you take it out, it has to go back to a fund.
Right.
Like, so it's not just like, hey, we got money and we're just gonna invest it and take it where we want. There's documentation and stuff there's a paper trail. I think we can get a little bit better, but you know, it's sort of new to us and we're trying to figure out how best to set it up so there's check and balances, but there's also efficiency and effectiveness in running a town. And again, best practice, we're trying to figure out what's best.
I would just note that there are a limited number of instances where a town or a village is required to review a policy on an annual basis. One is the procurement policy, right? You do that at every organizational meeting. And the other is the investment policy. And essentially, in that policy, as it's currently written, you're granting to the supervisor, whoever holds that office, the authority to do these investments. And this is one of them, is investing through NICLAS.
The whole board doesn't have to agree?
Well, the board agrees in that policy at that one meeting that the supervisor is delegated that authority over the course of the following year. And the NICLAS is one of the vehicles that's permitted.
Wow.
And so there's not a sort of transaction by transaction approval, but there's an annual approval up front in the form of the investment policy.
And that was, let me interrupt, George had the same privilege too, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's not nothing new.
For years, it's been,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
I forgot to let you guys know that Jeremy passed his courses
Oh my God.
and everything like that, so he's doing good. And he'll be going for his ABC test in like about 3 months. Just wanted to let you know that he passes all his classes at this, right? That's all.
Thanks, Steve.
I was just wondering if there was any update on the construction or estimate for the construction of the building?
Yeah, phase one has changed. There has been, the building as it is, as a physician's building is risk 2, and our engineers came back to us a couple days ago saying that for police to move in there, it has to be a risk 4 building. So phase 1 has changed a little bit to possibly police administration, and this just happened 2 days ago, so we're in the process of coming up with the plan of how we're going to have our offices in there and which police officials, administrative can be in. And it's a code that we're looking at, and our attorney is looking into it.
So they have to give you a separate, another estimate on that because it's changed?
Yeah, like I said, I was speaking with Jenny Littman, and she said, we can come up with one of those. Do you want one of those? And I said, I have to talk to the board first. I have to talk to our town attorney to see where everybody lands with the new wrinkle that we're going to have to iron out.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comment? Hearing none, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
You have to do it.